Lots of people ask me, what kind of coaching do I do? And when I first qualified back in, I think it's 2008, I really believed that I could coach anyone about anything. And in some ways, that's still true. I might find myself coaching somebody in my family about a job choice or business idea or whatever it may be. But the reality is, you can't put yourself out there, certainly not in the modern marketing driven internet world that we live in, as a coach. You can coach anyone about anything. And as soon as I landed my very first corporate client back in 2012, I knew that I'd found my niche. That's right, my niche, not my niche. And really, that's what I've been doing ever since. But now I'm starting to fine tune that a little bit more, in the sense that I'm now helping men especially, and within that niche, Christian men, help them to create what I call a Christ-like healthy work-life balance, so that they can thrive and not merely survive in their work and their home life. And that's what I'm going for. That's what I'm good at. That's what I've found myself coaching men, just because of the people that I'm working with. And so that's one of the most common questions I get asked. Another question, which is an obvious one really, is how much do you charge? And the truth is, I no longer work within a set price list kind of criteria. It really depends on your situation. It depends how frequently you want to actually meet. But whatever your situation is, what I'm most interested in is your situation, and can I be a good fit for that, rather than what is your budget. But we will obviously get to that if we're going to engage together. What I would really encourage you to do is click on the link below and book a discovery call with me, which is free. It will just take maybe half an hour, something like that, and we can get to know each other a bit more and work out and agree if we're a fit to work together or not. And either way is fine. The occasional question I also get is, will I offer advice during the coaching sessions? Now, there are many coaching Puritans out there who will say that the coach simply has to ask some half decent, hopefully intelligent questions, and then say nothing else. And I've even been trained in a time to think way of coaching, and that takes that to the nth degree. However, I've evolved over the years, and the more and more I've been around, and the more people that I coach and the people that I meet, especially people who are business owners, corporate leaders, corporate climbers, what they really want is a grown-up adult conversation. And what does that mean? That means that they will offload a lot of their situation and a lot of the pressures they're under, team dynamics, whatever it is. And then they will almost invariably ask me, what do you think about that? I've just offloaded for 10 minutes. Give me your thoughts. What would be your advice? And whilst I'm always careful to say, listen, this is just my thought, this is my gut feeling, but it's your call, it's your situation. Obviously, we have a to and fro. And I think my clients actually nowadays would feel a little bit shortchanged if they didn't get a little bit of advice from me. So there's a fine line between strict puritanical coaching and maybe a bit of mentoring. And with the Christian men that I coach, it almost can become a little bit of a pastoring thing. Maybe even a bit of a prophetic edge there occasionally. It depends. Every coaching relationship is unique, and we can make that work for you too. Another common and, let's be honest, quite obvious question, once you're at the point where you're going to invest your money and your time and your commitment to seeing the transformation and making the difference and moving from where you are to where you want to be, is how long are the sessions? And the answer to that is, it's not just a strict 1 hour. I don't charge by the hour. The truth is, my prices are pretty much always for half a day. Now, in person, that's quite rare, but I have had clients, especially those that live locally to me, where we will spend an entire morning usually walking around the countryside or walking along the beach, maybe grabbing some lunch. I even had a client where I actually would fly to Scotland, meet him in a boutique hotel, the same one every time, have a lovely lunch, and then grab a taxi, go back to the airport and come home, all in the space of 1 day. Now, his company was paying for that and all the expenses, but that's just an example of what is possible. When it comes to the virtual world, which is obviously becoming more and more common, most people don't want to be looking at a screen with a coach like me, however engaging, charming, handsome, whatever you may think, for more than an hour, maybe 2 hours. And so between 1 and 2 hours would be a typical session, I would suggest, online, and anything from 2 to 3 hours, but up to 5 hours, half a day, usually in the morning, but it could be the afternoon if we met in person. And that obviously depends on geography and whereabouts you live. Now, when does the coaching relationship come to an end? Now, there's an old adage that all good things must come to an end. I don't believe that's necessarily true, certainly not for marriage, hopefully, but it does happen, clearly. But the reality is I offer 12-month coaching programs and then also 6 months if that's something you would prefer. I used to work in a very different way, but that's not very structured, and people don't look for a coaching relationship that doesn't have a kind of end point, because the goal is to achieve your goals by the end of that time, whether that's 6 months or 12 months. But also the reality is, as we get to know each other over a 6-month or a 12-month period, other things are going to come into your life. Other things are going to crop up, both professionally and probably personally as well. And that can change the dynamic all the time. And that's why typically I work with my clients for a number of years, usually between 2. I even still have my very first corporate client, and that is now coming up for 12 years. We started working together in 2012. And I often joke that that could mean that I'm a really bad coach, actually. So why are you even bothering watching this video? Or he is an even worse coachee because he never does what he's actually going to say he's going to do, and therefore we don't experience the wins. I'm happy to confess to you that the truth is that, as in the corporate world, anyone who's in the corporate world will know this to be the case, that usually every 2 or 3 years he gets a new job, and then it's a whole new ball game all over again. He could be working over several time zones, for example. How are you going to manage that? I will ask him. And so we have developed a very deep relationship, both personally as well and professionally. And that's rare, certainly rare in the coaching world, I believe, but it is sometimes what happens. And I like to think that my investment in your relationship, because I'm the kind of coach who's not just going to be interested in, have you done what you said you would do last month? But I'm actually going to ask about your family life. I'm going to ask after your children, your wife, your husband, and how was that holiday? How was that vacation? All of these kinds of things build a holistic coaching relationship, which is why I really love the idea, and I try to demonstrate a whole of life coaching, a whole person coaching approach, rather than just the typical normal corporate approach or business coaching approach.